What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So it turns out YouTube doesn't like you talking about a certain disease, and especially when you start naming it by its actual name or even the name that's been given to it at this point, since there's more of a scientific name for it. They don't like that. So from now on, we're going to refer to that disease as CV. That's what we'll call it from now on. And wouldn't you know it, it's a focal point again today. After I asked the question yesterday, what would Sony do for a GDC? Well, they gave us their answer yesterday. Later on in the day, they're going to be canceling their plans for it. We're going to go over that today and more, specifically since Facebook is also doing the same thing. And we also have talked a bit about Animal Crossing as we had the large direct, but there's still a question, it seems, about the ability to back up your save data, and even Nintendo's kind of all over the place on this one right now. As always, guys, if you enjoyed these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton, and if you're brand new here, hit that red subscribe button down below. That way you can stay up to date on all of the gaming news going on in the gaming world. We're going to start today with Session. Session is a skateboarding game that is currently in early access on PC. If you were part of the Kickstarter, I believe, you could check it out, and there have been updates that have been going on pretty continuously. We have Session, Skater XL, and then everyone else like myself who still plays Skate 3 on their Xbox One. For whatever reason, we're all holding on to hope for a Skate 4, but we do have Skater XL that's supposed to be coming out this year, and Session updated the PC build to 0.0.0.3. They're getting close to 1, right? But they have updated it now, I'll just go say 3, and that added legacy controls, and legacy controls appear to be the skate controls, the system where you use the right stick to flick and move your board around, and then the left stick to steer. Now, Session's a little different. You use the triggers to steer, and it's a bit odd at first. I did a video on Session a while ago when they had the demo out for Kickstarter, and I thought it was a neat idea, but it needed some work, and they have continued to do that. So we also know that it will be showing up on the Xbox. I assume in early access will be the label that gets placed on it in spring. So probably sometime in late April, early May. I mean, technically it'd go to mid-June, but look out for actually quite a few skateboarding games showing up this year. And hey, you never know. We say every E3, right? Maybe it's finally Skate 4's year. Also, since we just talked about PAX East and Sony yesterday, PAX did put out a statement responding and just talking about what was going on and even some of the measures that they were taking. Now, they did say that there would be more of an emphasis on sanitization at the convention, but they also had this to say. While we are saddened that Sony will no longer have a presence at PAX East 2020, we look forward to welcoming our friends at Sony to future PAX events and are focused on making PAX East 2020 a successful and enjoyable event for all attendees and exhibitors. The well-being of everyone at PAX, from our attendees and exhibitors to our staff on site at every show, is the utmost importance to Reed Pop and Penny Arcade across the more than 50 total PAX events around the world. We have provided a positive environment for our over 1 million attendees to celebrate gaming. We will continue to work diligently to ensure PAX East 2020 and our other events live up to our high standards, and we will proactively keep you up to date with any further developments as we get closer to PAX East 2020. I am curious if anyone else decides to cancel on PAX, although we're like a week out, so they would have to do it starting today on Friday. So I guess look out for any cancellations from a company that's larger. People have kind of speculated on Nintendo. I think we're a little too close now for them to do that, but I guess you never know. But yeah, Sony's not heading out there. We talked about that. PAX East is just trying to make sure everyone's still okay with going and that they've kind of got stuff under control there. Oh, and real quick, check this out. Pokemon Home, of course, we know it launched. It showed up on cell phones. So if you have like an Android phone, you can download it on Google Play. And then if you have your Switch, you can download it on there. iOS devices, all of that. Well, we have some data now for how well it did in its first week. And this is just on phones. This isn't even on the Switch. Like, a lot of people probably picked it up on the Switch because they're playing Pokemon, obviously there. But check this out. There's actually a chart that was put out. 1.3 million people actually installed Pokemon Home, which isn't bad. I mean, it's free to install, so you would have to obviously leave your Switch, go to your phone, and download it there. And there could have been repeat customers there who did it on the Switch and also downloaded it on their phone to have their account across. And then because of those different pricing tiers, it's a little hard to tell how successful it is right now. But just in its first week from phones, it's pulled in $1.8 million in user spending. It's pretty good. I mean, think about what it is. It's cloud storage for your different Pokemon that don't really take up that much space. Now, these would be either like 1 month, 3 month, or a yearly. So there's a chance that some of this revenue is a lot of upfront revenue for the rest of the year. But it seemed to work. Pokemon Home still did well. Again, I know there was some outrage there and some frustrations, but Seems like a lot of people downloaded it, and a lot of people even paid for it. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with GDC 2020, which is going to take place a couple of weeks in mid-March after PAX East. We know Sony's not going to PAX East now, and it looks like they didn't waste much time in now canceling plans to attend GDC. They were going to be there alongside of Facebook and Oculus, who have now also canceled. And of course, we expect to see some pretty cool stuff from Oculus at the Game Developers Conference, right? That's generally these companies will go there to talk to different developers, obviously, as they all gather there and make some backroom deals and talk about specs for possibly the PlayStation 5 coming up or the Xbox Series X, or you never know what Nintendo's cooking up, right? So it's a good spot for all these companies to get together and basically talk about future plans. You can do that, I guess, over email and others, but I mean, face-to-face is a little easier to just kind of get down to conversation straight up. But no Sony there now, so no PlayStation, no Facebook, no Oculus. I'm also curious if anyone else will start to cancel plans there, but these are some of the statements they had for us. Out of concern for the health and safety of our employees, our dev partners, and the GDC community, Facebook will not be attending this year's Game Developer Conference due to the evolving public health risks related to CV. We still plan to share the exciting announcements we had planned for the show through videos, online Q&As, and more, and we'll plan to host GDC partner meetings remotely in the coming weeks. And then moving over to Sony, they said, we have made the difficult decision to cancel our participation in Game Developers Conference due to the increasing concerns related to CV. We felt this was the best option as the situation related to the virus and global travel restrictions are changing daily. We are disappointed to cancel our participation, but the health and safety of our global workforce is our highest concern. We look forward to participating in GDC in the future. So there you have it. Sony to me, this isn't like E3, right? Where people are like, oh no, they canceled E3 and they canceled PAX East. Now they're canceling GDC. Look, PAX East, GDC, those are separate from E3 is a whole nother thing for Sony, all right? Like, if they were still going to E3, I think most people would look at these two cancellations and say, well, that's too bad. Obviously, they're trying to look out for the health and well-being of their employees, which, yeah, that's good that they would be concerned about that and look out for them. But there's no E3 either. So at this point, Sony has done the opposite of what we thought they would do without E3. We figured they would go out and make big splashes at some of these events, and they've been kind of, at this point, hit a roadblock here with some of these just because of the outbreak currently going on of this virus. Now, we have to look forward to their own events that they would create. And I said this before, if they have a PS5 event coming up in the coming month or two, and they want to make sure that no one is sick for it because that's what they really want to make sure everyone's all hands on deck for, yeah, I get this. But if there's nothing coming until like June, it does seem odd that they wouldn't have it hired local people to maybe run a booth or two there. It is interesting for that, but I'm not gonna fault a company for looking out for their workforce. But now people are also asking, is there something wrong with PlayStation? Is it really because of CV, or is there other stuff going on? No, I really think it's because of CV. I think they're concerned that there could be some issues with employees that are sent there, especially employees or higher-ups and executives that have to travel pretty far, right? Like say they're traveling from Japan, right? That could cause some issues there. So they say, hey, you know what? We'll back out of this event. It's a shame because once again, it's a time where Sony could have talked about the next system, but they will eventually talk about it on their own time. Oculus, I think, is a great idea for them to do everything still through live streaming because then we still see all the cool announcements. And I mean, if Sony did the same thing, I don't really think people would care that much, but this also tells us that Sony probably didn't have much to announce at GDC anyway, and they're just getting ready for their PlayStation 5 event to like really, I would say, like blow the lid off this whole thing and have just a massive amount of PR and all kinds of information coming out after that meeting. So we'll see about that, but yeah, nothing at GDC. Don't expect any news from PlayStation out of that, and then don't expect anything out of PAX East either. Next up, let's talk about Animal Crossing and your save data and the confusion around this whole situation. We know before that Nintendo had been updating the Animal Crossing pages, store pages, saying no cloud saves. We heard about that, which was weird because we're paying for cloud saves. We figured, hey, Animal Crossing makes a ton of sense. Back up what could be years of progress, right? That's like what we would assume cloud saves before. Not the case here. Okay, well then I guess we'll have to have a way to move it to another system. Not necessarily here either. Okay, well, can we do something for our island so that we make sure that if our Switch gets lost, we still have a way to recover it? Maybe. Again, maybe. That's where it gets a little confusing. So during the Direct yesterday, they did put this slide up here that says the service will allow you to recover backed up save data from the server, available sometime after launch. This specifically, according to them, for when your Switch is lost or damaged, and there was even very fine print at the bottom that some people missed that says you can only do it once. It seems very strict about this. They're extremely concerned with people time traveling, it seems, and cheating online. Oh no, the esports scene for Animal Crossing is just going to suffer. Right? Well, if you go to their other page on Nintendo Europe for Animal Crossing, things get a little interesting. This game does not support the save data cloud functionality of Nintendo Switch Online. However, the ability to recover Animal Crossing New Horizons save data from the server in the event of console failure, loss, or theft will be available to Nintendo Switch Online members later this year. This game does not currently support the ability to transfer your save file from one Nintendo Switch console to another. However, a function specific to Animal Crossing New Horizons to move users and save data to another console is planned for later this year. Okay, that makes sense. They want to sell you more Switch systems if you are a big Animal Crossing fan, but you also want the next Metroid system or something, let's just say that, right? Or the next Zelda Breath of the Wild system or something. Let's say you want to go pick it up. Well, your Animal Crossing save is stuck on this Switch over here, so maybe I'll pass on that because this is where Animal Crossing is. You see what I mean? I think even Nintendo kind of thought about that a little bit and said, wait, that doesn't make sense for what we're trying to do. We want to sell you 4 Switch systems. So yeah, they seem to at least be trying to figure this out. But I gotta say, from what we're seeing here, it does not seem like they had any of this sorted out or planned even. Maybe they thought, we'll leave it on the Switch. No cloud saves, that's the way it is. And now they're hearing some of the feedback and they're all of a sudden thinking, oh, we need to do something here. So hopefully they have it figured out and they can come up with a way for us to transfer our saves at least over. I mean, in a perfect world, there's a way to back up the island as well, but we'll see. Later this year after launch is apparently when we'll learn more. Okay, now with that out of the way, let's actually talk about the Direct that took place yesterday morning. I talked about how after seeing the Direct, this was yesterday in a video, I feel very, very interested, a bit more invested in the idea of really getting into Animal Crossing. The last time I played it was on the GameCube, and I kind of played a little bit of the other versions, but the GameCube is where I spent a ton of time in the Animal Crossing universe, and I'm excited to check it out again here, but the Direct had a ton of information. People were wondering, what are they going to talk about for 25 minutes? They really packed in a ton of information. Animal Crossing is loaded with stuff to do, and it looks like they definitely wanted to go a bit further with, again, a big step up for this entire franchise. So right off the bat, you can have 8 players actually can play on a single Animal Crossing New Horizons island on your system because you have 8 profiles there. You can invite up to 3 people to join your island. You will mark them as best friends or not, depending on if you want them to have the ability to edit your island or cut down trees or do all kinds of mayhem. You can mark them off from doing that. The biggest thing that I saw in this Direct is that you can change the overall landscape of the island, like flat out. It seems there's a permit you get towards the end of the game, or at least after you build up your island far enough, at which point you can start removing land masses. They showed them actually creating a waterfall by digging out different parts. It looked like you were really going to be able to edit the island completely. Of course, you can also set where different people will move in, or any of your neighbors. You can actually figure all of that out. It just seems like this is a much more customizable Animal Crossing than we've ever seen before. And of course, as you work through the game, you will have new facilities, like they showed the museum, which looked pretty cool. They had a shop that gets built up, a tailor. There are still several others on top of that. The amiibo figures will work, as well as amiibo cards. Those are all supported in the game as well. They even have a separate island that looks like it was designed for specific photo shoots that you could put people in poses and create scenes and then take photos and save them. I thought that was kind of a nice little touch in there as well. And yes, the phone app is in full force. I know. Exciting, right? Yeah. You need it for voice chat, and they did have one really neat idea, which was to scan QR codes from your 3DS. So if you're playing, say, New Leaf, and you create a new pattern that you want to put on a shirt in New Horizons, there's a QR code that will pop up. You take a picture with your phone, and then it will transfer to your New Horizons file. That's a really cool idea. To see that full seasons that will change based on time of the year, and updates that get pushed throughout the year, kind of like if there's a holiday coming up or Bunny Day is their first update, they will push it online and then you'll receive it and it will pop up in your game. I assume that is in place so that you can't time travel and just get to these events and check everything out. People probably still play around with their internal clock and do some of these things, but that way I assume the information is not sitting on your Switch in the game for people to possibly comb through and data mine and again, just jump to straight up. But so far so good. We're a month out now. I think visually is one of the big standouts for the game. I think it looks amazing and I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited to jump back into an Animal Crossing game after being, again, serious with the GameCube version, playing a little bit of New Leaf, but I'm really excited to really jump in towards the end of March. So look forward to Animal Crossing New Horizons March 20th, and hopefully they have a bit more information about being able to back up your island around release date. I don't know, we'll see. It took them forever to put in the stuff with Mario Maker 2 after people were really frustrated with that online, so we'll see how long this one takes them with Animal Crossing to get you the ability to back up your save data. And in our last bit of news, let's talk a bit about Smash Bros. Ultimate, the Fighter Pass coming up with 6 new fighters and I guess the future of Smash Ultimate with Sakurai. This was during an interview with Famitsu. Push Dustin actually did a full translation and went over some of the key points. You can see some of those here. It says, here are some of the takeaways. 6 additional fighters are being made for Smash Ultimate. We know that. After that, there are no other plans, so Smash Ultimate is almost finished. Nintendo decided the characters for the DLC, Sakurai did not. While working on Smash Bros. Ultimate, Sakurai can't work on anything else. It's coming to a point where Sakurai won't be able to direct any new game idea, but Sakurai's okay with that. Sakurai wants to keep working to make other people happy, and this appears to be it for Smash right now. There are no other future entries that are planned, and what do you do after Smash Bros. Ultimate anyway? Like, it says Ultimate in the title, it has all of the characters and then some right on top of that. This is literally the quintessential Smash Bros. Game. I don't know where you go from here, or you just keep adding onto this one and just keep porting it to the next system and the next system, and maybe that's the way you go. That's all I can assume, but Sakurai going on to doing something else would be fascinating. That would be a very, very interesting to follow, right? Because you see the quality of work that he puts into Smash. Can you imagine if he was able to go off and make another Kid Icarus game with the amount of detail that is in these Smash games? It would be crazy to see that. And I almost wonder if Sakurai is to that point where he would like to pursue something else and try something different. Maybe it's not even the next Kid Icarus game. Maybe he just wants to do something completely different. I don't know. But I would like to see that. And I think at this point he's earned the ability to just say, hey, I did everything I could with Smash. I'm ready to go off and try something else. Go make another game, right? That would be cool. Or maybe he just wants to ride off into the sunset. I don't know. Something tells me the way Sakurai is, he does enjoy working and he likes putting a lot of effort into a project. So we'll see. But even if he takes a break for a bit, I feel like he'll be back to do something really, really cool. But of course, he still needs to finish up these the current Fighters Pass that we're going to be seeing coming up here. So he still has a bit of time left before he has to think about what's next. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This one is from Zgart saying, everyone going to gaming events, Sony, we can't go cause CV. I mean, Facebook and Oculus, they're not going, right? But you're kind of right about one thing. Sony isn't going, but Nintendo, Microsoft, Square, Bandai, all these other companies still are. And I have seen this brought up a couple of times, is the fact that Sony's not going and specifically saying we're looking out for the well-being of our employees. Does that then make Nintendo and these other companies look bad because they're not? I don't really see it that way. I just see it as Sony is they're looking at the calculated risk and they're saying, hey, we have some big stuff coming up soon in the future, specifically our console reveal, and we need to make sure everyone's, good to go for that. But it is an interesting thing to consider, kind of the optics of the situation. Sony doesn't want to go because they want to look out for their employees, but what does that mean for Nintendo and Microsoft sending their employees to the spot that Sony said we can't go to because of CV. And ladies and gentlemen, let's go to here for news. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button, it really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it's Sony and Facebook, I guess, not going to GDC. Do you think it's a big deal, specifically for Sony, because Oculus apparently will still have some recordings to play and make some announcements just remotely? But what about Sony? This is another event that they're not going to be at, and we're supposed to be building up to their PS5 launch. Do you think this hurts them on the way up to it, or do you think once we see the system, everyone's going to forget that they skipped PAX East and GDC? Anyway, also, what do you think about Animal Crossing New Horizons from that Direct, and what about the save data situation there? Thanks guys for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time for Newswave.